All right, old school NBA fans, self-researched NBA facts. Got another video for you. As always, thanks to anybody who watches my videos, subscribes to my channel. I really appreciate it. I want to give a special thanks to my man, Isle Sabag. Isle, man, he's donated my channel more than anybody, probably. Thanks again, my friend. I really appreciate it. Also, I know about the squeaky chair. I know it's annoying, and I'm working on getting rid of it, getting a new one in a couple days. We had some bad snow here. Things are getting hard to get delivered and whatnot, but working on that. It won't be an issue much longer. This video here is about my favorite Lions scumbag to call out, Nick Wright. This dude can just get right on TV and just lie to your face. He's either a liar on purpose, which is possible, or he's just incompetent, not educated in his research and homework, which is also possible. But either one is unacceptable, to be on a major network and just flat out lying to people. I wish I had the clip, damn it, and I can't find it. But somebody pointed this out to me recently, somebody at work actually, and I said, where'd you get that from? He said, oh, Nick Wright. And I had heard the same clip. Nick Wright tried to say that after 1993, there were no longer two Hall of Fame players in the Eastern Conference, basically from after 93, like 94 through 98. Well, Jordan didn't play in 94, so that's irrelevant. What he's getting at is all the teams were weak and this and that, even though, first of all, Hall of Famers do not make a team great. They just don't. In certain cases, yeah, they do. In other cases, they don't. Some teams don't need all that flash. It was people played a certain role to win championships, to be competitive, not even just win championships, just be competitive. Patrick Ewing went the whole 90s. Didn't have a top 75 player. He barely played with a Hall of Famer. I think Maurice Cheeks, when he's like at the very end of his career. He didn't need that. And still, the Knicks consistently winning 55, 57, 60 games year after year, beating the likes of top 75 players like Reggie Miller multiple times, like Scottie Pippen, like Larry Bird, McHale, Parrish, Joe Dumars, Rodman, Isaiah. He beat all of them. And he didn't have top 75 and Hall of Fame teammates because you didn't need it back then. Even now you don't need it. Nikola Jokic, Giannis, they're winning championships without Hall of Famers. It's just a fallacy. What it is it's to explain partly, that LeBron had to form these super teams. That's part of the reason to, kind of confirm, I don't know why the word escapes me, to verify basically that, his team, had all these Hall of Famers on it. And also that he played teams that had multiple Hall of Famers. Even if they weren't that good or not, it didn't matter. Like some of those Boston teams in the, like 2011 and 12, they weren't great. I mean, they were decent, but these guys are way past their prime. Paul Pierce, Ray Allen, Kevin Garnett, they were on their last leg. They just were. They were still competitive, had a lot of heart and pride, but they just didn't have that kind of talent anymore. You know what I'm saying? And it's because you can count like, OKC, they had James Harden and Westbrook and Durant. That's 3 Hall of Famers. One guy's coming off the bench, and, this is a team that is very young, that had just got to the finals just kind of like a hot little run or whatever, but they were by no means a championship level team. They just weren't. And they never got back to the finals after that. And, they had a 60-win year one year. I think they were like 59 wins one year, 55 wins. Had a 3-1 lead in the conference finals in 2016, lost. This team just was not that type of team. But that's okay. Again, Hall of Famers does not automatically make a team great. I hate that assertion. It's stupid. It just is. All right. Anyway, back to the original point of Nick Wright saying there wasn't 2 Hall of Famers on the same team in the East after 1993, the rest of the way for Jordan. Like I said, either he's lying or he's incompetent or both. But I'm going to bust it out right now. Calling you out, Nick Wright. You a lying bastard. I'm sick of it, man. You got people roboting and sheeping what you're saying. This is the main issue I have. They can say whatever they want, and there's no pushback, so it just hangs out there as if it's fact. It's not fact. This one really burned my ass because it was so easy to fact check and way wrong. So, first of all, let's establish the European players that are Hall of Famers. Now, Nick Wright goes right along with it when it's convenient. Like, he'll say, oh, Jordan was on a team with 4 Hall of Famers, including Tony Kukoc. So, going by what he is saying, let's get into it. 1995, there were 2 teams with multiple Hall of Famers. So, right away, he's wrong. Joe Dumars and Grant Hill. They were both all-stars in 95. They're both sitting in the Hall of Fame. Okay, how about Boston? They had Dominique Wilkins and Dino Raja. Yeah, he's a European player, but he's in the Hall of Fame. Okay, 1996. You still got Grant Hill and Joe Dumars, but you also now have Alonzo Mourning and Tim Hardaway. So there's 4 teams just in the first 2 years that I looked up. 1997, same thing. Hill and Dumars, Mourning and Hardaway. That's 6 teams. 98, you got Mourning and Hardaway. You got Hill and Dumars. You got Reggie Miller and Chris Mullin. You got Chris Webber and Ben Wallace. Now, Wallace started about a quarter of the season. You didn't specify about how many games they had to play, how vital a role. But, you know, he was averaging about 20, but I think it was like 20 games, right around 20 minutes a game. Ben Wallace and Chris Webber. And then you got on Toronto, Chauncey Billups and Tracy McGrady. McGrady was a rookie, but he was playing games. He started games. So you have 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 teams right there that had multiple Hall of Famers in the East from 95 to 90 in those 4 years. 11 teams. Does that sound like 0 to you? 11's more than 0 in my math. Okay. Validate was the word I was looking for. To validate LeBron James and, you know, having Kevin Love and Kyrie Irving and Chris Bosh and, you know, Dwayne Wade and Ray Allen and Anthony Davis and Dwight Howard and Russell Westbrook, all that to validate it. That's what he's doing. Anyway, so wouldn't it be more to the point of how good the guys were during those years just because they're in the Hall of Fame? Tracy McGrady was 18, 19 years old. He wasn't anything yet. Chauncey Billups wasn't the player he became. Neither was Ben Wallace. Mullin was past his prime. You know, Joe Dumars was heading towards the end of his prime. Wouldn't it be more meaningful to see what were the players doing during those years? Like, for example, 1995, Orlando had Penny and Shaq together. Well, in that year, in 1995, Penny was first team All-NBA, 10th for MVP. Shaq was second team All-NBA and second for MVP. So I'd say that's a pretty strong team right there. You know, you got 2 players in the top 10 of MVP and 2 of the top players for All-NBA. All right. Then you also have Charlotte. Charlotte had Larry Johnson and Alonzo Mourning. They were both All-Stars. Alonzo Mourning was 6th for Defensive Player of the Year also. Grant Hill and Joe Dumars in 1995. Grant Hill was Rookie of the Year. They're both All-Stars. Okay? So there's 3 really good duos in the East in 95 where Jordan missed 3/4 of the year. Anyway, in 1996, you got Penny and Shaq again. But I think they're even better in this season. Shaq missed 20 games. They were like, I think they were like 17-4 or 17-5 without Shaq. Anyway, Penny was first team All-NBA again. He was 3rd for MVP. Shaq was 3rd team All-NBA and 9th for MVP. So they have 2 of the top 9 players for MVP. And also you had Horace Grant, who was 8th for Defensive Player of the Year. Washington, the Washington Bullets, I guess at that time, had Juwan Howard, who was 3rd team All-NBA, giving you 22.1 points a game. Well, you also had Chris Webber. He wasn't All-NBA, but the next year, in 97, he was an All-Star. And in that year, 96, he's giving you 23.7 points a game, more than Howard, 1.5 more than Howard, and he's an All-Star the next year. Pretty good duo. Howard and Webber, both from Michigan, all that stuff. Okay. In 1997, And also in 96, you still have Dumars and Grant Hill, just they both didn't make All-Star, All-NBA, whatever. 1997, you have on Miami, you got Alonzo Mourning. He's an All-Star. He's 12th for MVP. Tim Hardaway, first team All-NBA, 4th for MVP. So you got two of the top 12 for MVP on the same team. Again, third year in a row, you had two players in the top 12 for MVP on the same team. All right, Detroit, you got Hill and Dumars again, and those guys both made All-Stars. Both players, All-Stars. And then you look at Charlotte in 97. Anthony Mason was third team All-NBA, 9th for MVP, along with his teammate Glenn Rice, who was second team All-NBA and 5th for MVP. So now you have two sets of players that are top 12 for MVP on Miami and on Charlotte. Two All-Stars, Hill and Dumars. How about Atlanta? And also, Charlotte had an additional Hall of Famer, Vlade Divac, right? He's in the Hall of Fame. All right, Atlanta. What did Atlanta have in 97? Oh, not much. They just had the Defensive Player of the Year in Mutombo, who was also an All-Star. The guy who finished third for Defensive Player of the Year, Mookie Blaylock, and also the steals per game leader, another All-Star in Christian Laettner, and all three of those guys weren't even the leading scorer on the team. It was Steve Smith who gave you over 20 points a game. Yeah, a bunch of bum teams, right? My ass. I don't know where you get this stuff from, Nick. You're out of your freaking mind. All right. In 1998, you had Juwan Howard, who, again, he was All-NBA in 96. Chris Webber was an All-Star in 97. Now, it wasn't the same year. But then you also add Rod Strickland, who was second-team All-NBA and the assist leader in 1998. On Indiana, you had Rick Smits and Reggie Miller. Both were All-Stars. Miller was third-team All-NBA. Atlanta, you had two of the top 5 for Defensive Player of the Year, Blaylock and Mutombo. And then you also had Steve Smith, who was an All-Star, and Mutombo was an All-Star. These teams were good. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. So, and also you still had Hill and Dumars still doing their thing. Maybe not both All-Stars, but still doing their thing. All right, and then also Indiana had the additional Hall of Famer, Chris Mullin, won the free throw title in 98. So, to me, this stuff's way more important. So, in 1996, because this is the three-peat years, in the East, there was 5 All-NBA players in the East that were not Chicago Bulls. Well, there was 2, Pippen and Jordan. So basically 7 out of the 15 were in the East, so, just under half. 2 were on the Bulls. The other 5 were in the East, okay? In 1997, you had 7 All-NBA players not named the Bulls in the East. So if you take the 2 Bulls away, that leaves 13 spots available. 7 of the 13 were from the East. That's more than half, even without the Bulls. And then in 1998, somehow Pippen made All-NBA that year. I don't know how, missing half the year, but whatever. In 1998, the East had 6 of the 13 available spots. And again, that's just under half. So I would say the East really wasn't that bad in 96 to 98, like Nick Wright's saying. Everything predicated on, got to be Hall of Famer, got to have multiple Hall of Famers. I mean, what did that get the Clippers last year? How many Hall of Famers was on that team? Yeah, Harden, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard. I mean, how many did they have? I'm missing Westbrook. They had 4 Hall of Famers on that team. Couldn't get out of the first round. What did it mean? It meant nothing. How about when Kyrie Irving and Harden and KD trying to make something, couldn't get past the second round in any situation? Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant. How good are they doing? I don't know. I don't watch, but I'm sure they're not doing that good because I could already tell you that team is soft, weak defensively. But I'm just saying, it guarantees you nothing to have multiple Hall of Famers. It's just something to try to throw on LeBron James' resume. Well, I did a video yesterday. I got a lot of pushback for LeBron, LeBron James, he did really good in the playoff, but those Warriors teams are just too good. And I said, well, they were beatable. They're just the NBA as a whole from about 2014 until about 2017, right in those 4 years specifically, the NBA was just not very good. There just wasn't that many good teams in that time frame. There just wasn't, East or West. Obviously Golden State was the cream of the crop, but some of the other teams like San Antonio, they always had an injury problem. Oklahoma City could just never get it done no matter what the circumstance. To me, that makes you not that great after all. Regardless of what your individual accolades are, whatever you're going to bring to the table. Oh, man, Westbrook had an MVP, KD, and you have two MVPs on the same team. Yeah, what happened? With a 3-1 lead, the two MVPs couldn't win a game. Trash. Okay. So, just in contrast, and you'll never hear Nick Wright talk about this, impossible. In 2014, how many non-Miami Heat All-NBA players do you think there were? 3. Joakim Noah, Paul George, and Al Jefferson. I know, killers, right? How about in 2015? How many non-Cleveland Cavalier All-NBA players were there? There were 2. Kyrie Irving and LeBron James on Cleveland had 2 of them. Would you believe me if I told you, and this might be the only time it's ever happened in the history of the NBA, there was only one other All-NBA player in the East. 3 teams in the East total in 2015. One was not a Cavalier. Pau Gasol on the Bulls. That is crazy. Okay. 2016. As far as all NBA players. Non-Cleveland All-NBA players. There were 3. No first teams, of course not. You had Paul George, you had Andre Drummond, and Kyle Lowry. Again, these are the players. Don't make me laugh. 2017, you actually had a decent one for a change. You had Giannis. He was second team, but he wasn't the Giannis of the MVP Giannis, but an up-and-coming Giannis. You had Isaiah Thomas, who made second team along with Giannis. The third team was Jimmy Butler, John Wall, and DeMar DeRozan. I'm just saying, you get this many of these kind of players, the NBA just really wasn't that great at that time. It just wasn't. So anyway, there was 5 of them that year, which that was the most by far. But from 2014 through 2017, there was a total of 12 All-NBA players in the East. That's it. That's 3 per year average that weren't on LeBron James' team. 12. That's it. Where in 95 through 98, or hell, let's just say 96. Yeah, 96 there was 5, 97 7, and 98 6. So that's 18 in 3 years. Where in, like I said, 2014 to 2017, there's 12. So 12 in 4 years during LeBron's great run, or 18 in 3 years. You tell me. And his is the most telling one of all. How about first team All-NBA? From 2014 to 2017, in those 4 years, there was one player in the East that was first team All-NBA that was not LeBron James. Joakim Noah. Can you believe that? That's it. One guy in 4 years in the East, not named LeBron James. That's insane. Actually, that was 2013 through 2018. That's a 6-year stretch where you had one first-team All-NBA player in the East, and that was Joakim Noah. Can you believe that? That is pathetic. And then in contrast, the 4 years that Nick Wright was saying about the no Hall of Famer, you had Penny Hardaway in 95, Penny Hardaway in 96, you had Tim Hardaway and Grant Hill in 97. You had 4 in 4 years versus 1 in 6 years. Again, I think Nick Wright is, a guy who likes to cast stones and lives in a glass house. Like, just leave Michael Jordan's East alone, because you're going to lose every time with that, silly argument. The East was definitely very competitive, especially in the late 90s. The very early 90s, a little less, but they still would. That's when they were loaded with teams of double Hall of Famers like Mikhail Bird and Parrish, Dumars, Rodman, and Isaiah. They had that stuff for days. You know what I mean? There's a bunch of pairings like that. There was Moses Malone and Dominique Wilkins. There was several of those kind of pairings, but it did not translate necessarily into good teams. So anyway, that's all I got for this video. This one really burned my ass. Nick Wright just going on TV and flat out lying to people. It drives me nuts. And when I heard someone tell me that at work today, oh man, I went nuts on him. Oh man, I heard you doing an NBA channel. And then we got to talking over LeBron guy. I could tell that right away. And he goes, yeah, well, Jordan didn't play anybody after 93. And I was like, what are you talking about? And then he got on to the whole thing about, well, there was no teams in the East that didn't have multiple Hall of Famers on it for, the last 4 years he was in the East. And I was like, what are you talking about? Bullshit. Anyway, that's the whole crux of the video. Thanks for watching. If you liked it, please hit the like button. And that's it for now.